You're a monster.
I'm your number one fan.
Now clear your minds. Know's what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Just been informed that zombies have entered the building. They're at the door. They're coming in.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Frosty, and alongside me, as always, is Tony.
Hello, hello.
And last but certainly not least, Corey Peak. What's up, brother?
What's going on, guys?
So we are back with another episode. This is a roulette episode. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically where we all go out and either we secretly watch a movie that we haven't told each other about, or we spill the beans. But it's a random movie that we watch. Instead of just diving into one movie, we're going to bring a couple movies to the table and give our quick review of it and just kind of let you guys know, what we thought. So yeah. That being said, how are you guys doing? This is our first video episode.
First video episode, yeah.
Yeah, we are going. You'll be seeing our ugly mugs on YouTube from now on. I'm not sure if this is going to be like a weekly thing, or if we're just going to do this for the roulette episode, or what. I personally would like to do this every episget.
Yeah, same here.
At least it holds me accountable. Maybe I'll shave one day to look nice for the camera, but don't get your hopes up. So yeah,
You wear that beard proud.
That's right. But of course, you are watching. If you're watching this episode, you are seeing us. You're seeing our faces, our beautiful mugs on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us. If you're listening, now obviously you're listening on one of the many places you can find our podcast: iTunes, Google Play. You can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio. We're getting a lot of listeners on iHeartRadio, by the way, which is awesome. So we appreciate every one of you for taking the time to listen. I checked the analytics the other day. We actually have a listener in Japan. So,
yeah.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
So we appreciate that. It's probably an American listener, and he's in Japan, and he's like, I speak English. It's fine. So yeah, we appreciate that. But don't forget to leave us a review too on there, and tell your friends about us too. So if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter at midnight_corner. I've actually been posting a lot more stuff there. You could follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group. It is a closed group. Ask nicely. We'll let you in at the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. And I think that about wraps up housekeeping. Oh, you can follow us on Letterbox. You can find me at Deal Jones 1988. Corey at,
I think it's CP3.
CP3.
Yes.
Because that's easy to remember. And then Tony, I think, is just
my name, Antonio Arroyo. Yeah, you'll find me on there. There can't be too many of those on there.
Yeah. None of us were original with our Letterbox names. Don't judge us, but we're on there. You can follow us. So yeah, that being said, we're going to jump right into our roulette episode. Corey, would you like to be first? Do the honor, sir.
Yeah, I can go first. So, little backstory on the film that I chose. I was actually going to watch something else, but then I was looking through my collection, and this caught my eye, and I was like, you know what? I've never seen this film. I'm going to give it a chance. Okay. It was a film that I bought a couple of years ago. So I was at the flea market, and
just be honest with us.
So one of the guys that we go to at the flea market, it was for sale on his table for like $2. I picked it up. I looked at it. It looked like garbage, and he was like, "Yeah, it's a god awful movie. If you don't waste your time with it." And I was like, "I think I want to give it a chance." He was like, "Well, if you're that serious about buying it, I'll give it to you." So I have it. So it is literally one of the cheapest films in my collection because I didn't pay anything for it. But it's a film called Grave Matter from 2004.
Look at that sexy cover art.
It's pretty rough. Like, it's bad. Yeah.
Man,
Oh my god. Looks like a
So-
wallpaper from 1998.
it does. It does.
So the tagline says "Dig it." But yeah, so just a quick synopsis of it. Basically, it's a young woman by the name of Christine, who right away you figure out that she's in a really shitty relationship as far as marriage. She's married to a gentleman by the name of Mick, and he's your cliche abusive, drunk piece of shit husband. And she's pretty much tired of living that life. They find a dead body on their front porch, just randomly, and because he's on parole, they decide they're gonna bury it in the backyard versus calling the cops. So right away, she's instantly putting off the vibes that she thinks that he murdered this gentleman. But long story short, I guess I can kind of spoil it because no one will really waste their time with this
No one's
film.
gonna watch this piece of shit.
But basically, yeah. So she starts seeing the ghost of this gentleman a couple times in the backyard and stuff like that, and he starts hollering her name, but won't come inside the house. His ghost does not come inside the house for some reason. Long story short, he was actually a cop that
Do
she
ghosts
actually
normally
murdered.
come in the house?
They just kind of appear there. I don't know.
I was,
But
I was making a cum joke, Corey.
oh, sorry. But basically, he they when long story short, I guess the husband ends up getting really nasty with her, pretty much rapes her, and she's had it, so she fucking murders her husband as well. Buries him in the backyard along with the dead body of this cop. Well, turns out she was sleeping with the cop, and he was promising that he was going to take her away from this abusive husband and everything else, and he was just basically doing that to get in her pants because he actually had a family and everything else. But he had this list in his jacket that apparently belonged to a detective, and so the detective came, lurking around, trying to figure things out. So, long story short, she decided she was going to basically hold ransom of the dead cop's body with the detective who wanted that list. So he gave her money. She ended up murdering him, threw him in the backyard as well. It was a crazy, crazy story, and yeah, it I could see how people were like turning it off and not giving it a chance at all because it's a shit movie.
Yeah.
I will say I had fun with the dead husband's character because when he came back, he would keep fucking with her, like just like randomly yell at her and shit like that, which would throw her on edge. Um, and just like he was like at one point when he first appeared, he appeared in the bathroom, and this was like directly after she murdered him and buried his body, and she was like literally washing the blood off of her, and she gets out of the shower, and boom, he's in the bathroom. And then he was like, go ahead and head out of the bathroom, go get dressed. We're gonna talk about this. And then she goes to walk past him, and he was like, ah, it's so bad. And then he was like, I'm just joking with you. Go get dressed. It's like,
Piece of shit, man.
yeah.
That's terrible.
But yeah, so
No wonder he's dead.
it was it was awful, but not the worst film I have in my collection. So I will say that. But like I said, I gave it a rating of 2 stars on Letterbox. And that was just honestly because I had fun with the husband character, uh, not the drunken piece of shit and abusive husband character, but the dead, more laughable character that he became.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty fun.
So
Well,
I
that
guess
was pretty fun.
I guess his name was Mick.
Mhm.
Is that his name? Yeah. Steve Parrish. I was looking at his IMDb. He apparently played in Scanners 3,
Oh wow.
The Takeover.
That's random.
So random. I didn't know Scanners had a sequel.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think the
Cool.
girl that played Christine, she starred in Malcolm X.
It's even more random.
Kate Vernon,
Yep.
Malcolm X, Battlestar Galactica,
Damn.
Pretty in Pink.
I thought this was like low tier budget, like can't afford any like acting.
No, I will say, I mean, it does feel very low budget. I mean, very low budget, due, from the shitty acting, because it doesn't seem like they found these people in the best of places.
Mhm.
The location was literally one location the entire time, which was the house, and then in the backyard. They said that there was a graveyard in the backyard. Never saw tombstones or anything like that. So I don't know where they got that. It literally looked like a house that they filmed in a trailer park.
Oh wow.
Because the outside shots of the house looked like a house, but on the inside, straight up looked like a 1970s trailer.
Damn.
The gore, the special effects wasn't that bad looking, actually. I will say that. Like, because when she kills her husband, she bludgeons him to death, and I think that's the most gruesome scene that you see. And he's like, part of his head is missing, stuff like that, and it's just really bloody. And then she's
practical
covered in
effects.
blood. She is like covered in blood when she murders her husband, which I thought was really neat. I mean, because somebody that would bludgeon their husband to death would look like that. But then most of the other kill scenes was just quick and simple. You didn't really see a whole lot. But there was one scene where the husband, as a ghost, he was messing with her, and I think he was taunting her, tormenting her, and she was like, acting very scared. And he was like, "You really want to see what scared is?" He goes, "Or would you much rather remember me like this?" And I mean, boom, he was instantly crushed face guy again, but just like blood everywhere. It was cool. But there's like scenes where there was some funny moments where like she was talking to the detective in the house, and out of nowhere, like he was like telling her to say something to him, and they'd all be sitting there like at the table, and he's like, "Ah, he's a piece of shit cop anyways," and everything else. Like he's like yelling obscenities to this cop who doesn't even hear him because he's just a ghost.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
And what
So like
around
Frighteners, but really bad.
what year did that come out, Corey?
2004.
2004. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a year now. 2004.
So you go to IMDb and you look up Grave Matters. There's 4 photos under the profile. There's the front of the box, the back of the box, and some guy, and literally just a blank black screen.
Well, that's the end.
Yeah. That's the back of your eyelids after you've fallen asleep from watching this movie.
Right. All in all, it sounds like a winner.
It was rough. That's definitely for sure.
But
so I go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, not the roughest one though.
No, not the roughest one.
So if IMDb and Letterbox combined, there are 4 reviews, and you are one of them, Corey. How does that make you feel?
Very special.
Exclusive company there, bud.
I see the review you're talking about too. The guy put half a star. Couldn't finish film. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he put half a star and he couldn't finish the film. That's the best review ever.
That's unfortunate though, man. He probably didn't see all the ghost shenanigans.
That's true.
So he should have stuck with it. He might have gave it a whole star.
Yeah.
Could have gotten a whole star there.
I guess y'all wanna say the honorable mentions to the last little bit of the show?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Okay. I guess I'll go next if that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So the film I brought to the table for this roulette episode was The Dark and the Wicked. This is from 2020, so it came out last year. Now this film actually caught my eye because I was in Walmart and I saw the front cover, and I noticed the font was very like retro looking. kind of 80s, you know, and like the red color on the front was really popping, and then you see this old house, and right above it you see this like floating figure. I was like, this movie looks cool. I almost bought it. It was almost going to be a blind buy, but I didn't buy it. I took a picture of it and I sent it to y'all, and Tony actually recommended it. Well, lo and behold, it's on Vudu, so I rented it for movie night the other night and watched it, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. Uh, so the movie's very dark. Like it starts out very dark and ominous, and it's a tone that really never lets go. Like there's really no moments in this movie where it's like, you know, there's no comic relief in this movie. Like it is just very, you know, it is serious. It takes itself very seriously from the start to finish. Very dark, very creepy. Um, so there's this old couple living on this farm. The husband's actually dying. The old woman is presumably his wife is living there, and she starts experiencing very demonic like uh, um, moments on her farm. You know, like for instance, the cattle that they're raising, or rather the sheep and the goats that they're raising, are they're starting to act weird. You know, she started to hear noises. She just feels this presence. She's got doors opening, and closing by themselves. She's got um, chairs moving. You know, she's hearing footsteps. It's all big recipe for a haunt movie. You know, takes place in this old house, so it's perfect. Well, you find out that there's two more protagonists that get introduced, which are the old couple's son and daughter. Now they show up to kind of help out and give their mother a hand with their dying father. And they find out that she's been acting weird. She keeps telling them, you know, y'all shouldn't have come here. You know, it's not right. Da 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 da. And they think that she's just being difficult and having a hard time coping with the death of their father. Really, what you find is uh, she's trying to warn them that there's something dark there. That there's this entity that's haunting the place, very demonic. And so she, I mean, this all happens very early, but the mother actually ends up uh, committing suicide um, via rope hanging. Well, what throws them off is she didn't use a ladder and she didn't use anything to stand on to do it. She was very high off the ground when she hung herself, and that was something that her son had actually pointed out. So then, right then, they start, you know, they start to realize that there's something more there. You know, that there's a dark presence there. Not to mention, they find her diary and they start reading her diary, and it's got like, you know, stuff in there like he hides in the shadows, he watches me, and it's like just very dark, creepy entries in her journal, which really add to the creepiness of the movie. And there's scenes throughout where her daughter's sitting down and reading it out loud, like on the front porch, and like the wind's blowing, and it's just got this really creepy, dark, you know, like it's almost like sitting by a campfire listening to a ghost story the whole movie, you know.
Wow.
And they do a really good job of of setting that tone and keeping it, you know. I did have a couple gripes with the movie, you know. Like I feel like they could have explained the ending a little bit more. This is a relatively new movie, and I do recommend it, so I don't want to spoil it. But I will say that the ending ended kind of abruptly. It had a really, you know, tense ending. Like that last 15-20 minutes was just, you know, yeah, you were like on the edge of your seat, like, you know, what's going to happen next kind of deal. And so that, I mean, that was probably my only gripe really is with that, and I feel like they could have shown or explained a little bit more, you know. There were scenes in that movie that was very like it was like for instance, there's a scene where this preacher comes to visit them and he leaves his information and everything, and he's kind of like he knows a little too much, you know, like he knows more than he should.
Mm-hmm.
And they get bad vibes off of him, and so he leaves, and then I believe it's like the next night or the night after, they get visited by the preacher, but it's at nighttime, and he's standing outside. He's kind of trying to lure them outside, and she's like, "Don't go outside, don't go outside." And she shines the flashlight on him, and his eyes are all weird and evil looking, and
Wow.
and then he disappears, and then they try to call the preacher with the phone number that he had left originally, and he's like, "I've never been to Texas, like I'm in Chicago," So like the preacher that visited him wasn't even the preacher. Apparently it was like this demon or this devil that had visited him in disguise as the preacher. So just cool stuff like that, like they do a really good job of just making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And so yeah, it's definitely a good watch. I will say that. I believe I gave it a 3.5 stars on IMDb, and to me that's a strong 3.5 because I really do recommend the movie. I thought it was great, but I will say that the ending could have been a little better as far as him explaining a little bit more. Like I wanted something. I wanted a tie-in with the dad because the movie was really focused on them protecting the dad and like the movie's got a lot of hidden themes in it, like dealing with death and letting go and stuff. And you see that like with the daughter, like the son's like, "I'm getting the hell out of here," and the daughter's like, "No, I gotta stay, to help dad." And but I kind of wish it would have, you know, taken a turn and kind of explained more about the dad. But and then, if you listeners, if you get a chance to watch it, let us know what you think, and let me know what I think. Let me know what you think, and we could discuss in the Facebook group. But I feel like I kind of had an idea of what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to explain something about the dad, and that's why the house is haunted. That's why they're being tormented by this demon. It's because of something the dad did, or but it kind of took a different turn. So, but 3.5 stars. The Dark and the Wicked. Thought it was good, and I recommend it. Definitely check it out. Definitely watch it with the lights off.
Yes,
I
recommended.
did. I watched it with all the lights off. It was creepy.
With all the lights off. Yeah, you'll get sucked into the atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I haven't personally checked it out yet, but I'm planning on getting that one soon.
yeah.
It's awesome. It really is.
So 3.5 stars. Not enough floating ladies though.
Not enough floating ladies.
Not enough floating old ladies.
Unfortunate.
Probably would have gave it 5 stars.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, for mine that I did, I watched a movie from 2007. It's called The Orphanage, which the listeners out there would be probably interested to know. It was produced by Guillermo del Toro. It wasn't directed by Guillermo del Toro, but it was produced by Guillermo del Toro. It was actually directed by a filmmaker named J.A. Bayona, a Spanish director. This is one of his first films. He went on to do like the Jurassic World films and stuff like that. Like he did a couple of those, I believe. But like I said, this is I believe his debut film. And man, it's funny that we, not too long ago we talked a little bit or we did a discussion on the others. Which, man, this movie really, really reminded me of that movie so much when I was watching that. I was like, wow, man, this would be a good double feature to watch with it, because the two just go hand in hand so well. But basically, we follow this character, our protagonist. Her name is Laura, and when she was younger, she's an orphan, so she grew up in an orphanage with a lot of other kids. And she became really good friends with the kids. They were really close. They played. They had a good time. And one day, she gets adopted. And basically, it sets up, I think, 30 years later, and she's a grown woman. She's got her. She's married. She has a husband. She's got a young son named Simon, or Simone, as they say. And she actually moves. She's in the process of moving back into the orphanage because the orphanage has since shut down. And basically what she wants to do is set up residence here and open it up as like a caregiving home for children with special needs. She wants to do right by her community and help out kids that are, special needs. But her son, Simon, is a very sickly little boy which I was wondering, because I don't think they really said what his ailment was that he had. But I did some research, and it turns out he was HIV positive. So he was a sick little boy. It was only him, his dad, and her in this house. So, he was a bored little kid. He's really lonely. He only had his parents. And one day, he's telling his mom, "Hey, I got these friends that, these friends that are around the house and stuff like that I talk to." And she's like, well, she right away, red flags popping up. She's like, well, there's no kids around here. And because the kids haven't, officially moved in yet to the house. Yeah. It's right away. She's like, well, this something's going on here. And he's telling her that, they're telling me, all this information about what happened in the orphanage and this and that. And eventually he really gravitates to one imaginary friend in particular named Tomas, which we later find out his backstory, which is really tragic. But he tells Simone, I keep saying, it's so weird to call him Simone, but that's what they keep saying in the movie. Simone. But they told him that basically he was adopted. So he didn't even really know that he was adopted. And, his parents are dumbfounded. They're like, well, we didn't tell him. So how in the world would he have known? So, basically they set him down and said, yeah, well, you are adopted and this and that. And,
man, this is awkward.
Yeah, it really was. And ever since that point, and this is like 20, 30 minutes into the film, he kind of shifts and he's really just upset. He's carrying anger and frustration out on his parents, more specifically his mom, because he's always with her. And he's being really defiant. He's lashing out at her. He's not, just not happy with the situation, her holding the secret from him. And he's a really resourceful little guy, like a little kid. So, but halfway through the movie, it shifts. And this is, well, not halfway through the movie, a little, I want to say about 30 minutes into the movie. They're having a grand opening of the orphanage, and they're having the parents of the students that are going to start living there come through and have a party and stuff like that. And it's like a masquerade party, so that everybody's wearing a mask, and it's really, really, really cool. I didn't say that, but the setting in this movie is absolutely phenomenal. It's beautiful. Something about these haunted paranormal films, they always have really creepy, haunted, like really beautiful houses. Especially with the foreign ones. I mean, they're able to find these immaculate houses to shoot these films in, and it really sucks you into the atmosphere and really. And I didn't mention that, so this orphanage is set on like the coastline, so you get like this really cool shot of the ocean. There's a lighthouse that comes into play in the movie, which is really cool. The story behind that's really neat. So really, the setting is beautiful. I love. And I've told you guys that I'm a big fan of like this coastal horror, like these that are that revolve around the coastline and stuff like that. And a lot of scenes and shots revolve around the coastline, which is really neat. But man, once that hits and they have this party and Simon just vanishes, he disappears, and Laura and her husband Carlos are flipping out. So basically the story shifts, and the rest of the movie is basically them trying to find their missing son. And man, is it engaging, dude. This movie really had me sucked in from the first moment it started. It really is a wonderfully crafted story. The screenplay is brilliant. The acting is powerhouse, especially from our protagonist Laura. She is phenomenal. She goes through a range of emotions in this movie. Kind of reminds me of Nicole Kidman and the others. Same feel, man. Really,
She's gone mad.
Right. She's a strong, resilient mother, and she's damn willing to do anything to find her son. And it's really a beautiful thing to see, like, a mom, especially the fact that, she was an orphan. So the fact that her son was an orphan, and she gravitates more toward that because they have that in common, and she really finds a good bond and a really strong relationship with him. And really the movie, my one my one little gripe about the movie is really the husband character is really just non-existent. I mean, he's in the movie, but he really serves no purpose. I mean, she could have been a single mom in this whole, and it wouldn't have really mattered because he really doesn't add too much to the film. Um, but he's there, and man, dude, I'm telling you, the story just keeps you gripped in, keeps you locked in. The ending, they had a fake ending. So I was watching it, and it ended this way, and I was like, wow. I literally wrote in my notes when I was watching, I was like, wow, that is so fucked up. I did not expect that at all. And it really stuck with me. But then the film kept going. And then the real ending happened. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit more upbeat because that was dark. Shit was that dark. I couldn't believe they did that.
Did they roll credits on you?
Well, they did, yeah. But the fact of the matter, like, it sets you up with an ending you think is going to happen, but then you're like, oh shit, no, they didn't end it that way. It's ending this way, and it's like, wow, that's still pretty effective. But
okay, so like 1408, where like it looks like they're wrapping up the film, and you're kind of like, you're like, really, and then it like throws it upside down,
Well, that's the thing with like the last, including this one, for me, the last three we've done, the endings have just been like, wow, what, like, fuck, man, like I didn't expect it. And because these are all, well, 1408 I've seen, but it was almost like a first time watch for me again because it's been a long time. So I had forgot that ending. So every one of these endings, they're great, man. Like they really like. If you're watching a movie and the payoff isn't there, then it's like it really hits you. And with the score, with the rating, what you think about it. But all three of these movies had a great ending. They really, really served well, So this movie, man, I was completely gripped. Like I sat down to watch it, and I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I was so engaged with the story. I was so engaged. I was wondering where it was going. There's a scene where they've basically they've hit their limit on what to do, so they hire a medium to come in to try to do something so they can generate something to find their son. So that whole scene was fucking awesome. Like the scene with the medium, it really reminded me of Poltergeist when they came in to do the investigation in the house. Like it really, as a matter of fact, with the missing child, and it really had a lot to owe to Poltergeist because a lot of that stuff you can kind of see. And then The Others too was another movie that it just, like I told you guys, it really reminded me a lot of that. But it's a Spanish film. I love Spanish films. They're just great. Like I haven't seen too many really, really bad Spanish films. They've all been top notch, really quality films. So this one I couldn't recommend enough. I don't want to. It's a hard one to talk about without completely spoiling it, and I want the listeners to go out there and check this movie out, especially if you're engaged in paranormal, like in the mystery. Like it really is a mystery drama with a little bit of horror influences involved. But if you want to see great acting, I will say this might turn some people off, but it is a Spanish film, so it is subtitled. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to read the subtitles, and I get that. I understand that. But, man, if you don't give it a shot, man, you're missing out on a quality movie. This movie kicked ass.
I never understood the argument of not liking a movie because of subtitles.
Yeah.
I can understand it being harder to watch because if you like to multitask, let's say you're cooking while you watch a movie, which is actually something I've been doing lately. It's been great. Like yesterday, I meal prep for the week, and I was cooking a bunch of chicken and vegetables while watching a movie. I watched Night of the Comet while I was cooking.
Nice.
So, so I can understand, with subtitles, you have to actually zone in and read. But, man, a lot of people are missing out on some good quality content.
Really are.
Like I watched The Swordsman. It's subbed. Like there's no dub translation for it right now, and I'm telling you, that movie is fantastic. Like if you can sit down and watch that movie with subtitles, like it's great.
Yes,
You know?
like the subtitles to me, they don't bother me. I've watched a lot of foreign films. I've seen a lot of stuff, so reading subtitles does not bother me at all. And I literally, I'm telling you guys, from the minute I hit play, I was completely zoned in. My eyes didn't leave that screen once, man. I was locked in. I was like, this is first time watch. I don't know if I mentioned that, but this was a first time watch for me. Yeah, I did mention that. So I didn't know where the hell they were going. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I was in for. But when those credits rolled, I was like, that was fun. That was a really interesting watch. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I think I gave it a 4-star rating on letterbox.
Nice.
I would have loved to have had them take more advantage of like scenes at night, because they really, believe it or not, they didn't have a lot of scenes like take place at night, which is strange for a movie, about the paranormal.
Yeah.
It didn't happen a lot, but the scenes that they did shoot at night were brilliant. I was like, man, I wish there was more of that in the film. Like I loved it. The atmosphere captured it perfectly. It really feels like a movie from like the early 2000s. I mean, it has that feel, but it also is a little different because it's a foreign film, so it kind of has its own flair as well. So I had a blast with it. I highly recommend it. If anybody has checked it out, doesn't mind reading subtitles when they're watching a film, I couldn't recommend this enough.
Is it on Tubi?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
Listeners, that's actually something we were talking about before we started recording. But if you haven't, go check out Tubi. TBI. They got a lot of free movies on there. I mean, you can make an account, but if you don't mind watching a few ads, every now and then when you're watching a movie, they have a ton of really good movies on there. Pretty solid library.
Well, the best thing about Tubi is too, like even when they do the ads, they do a lot of them like in the beginning before the movie starts, so they don't really ad break too much in the middle of the film. So that's a plus. I mean, I'd rather them do it in the beginning, get them knocked out, and then boom, straight into it. I mean, they have a couple here and there, but it doesn't take away from watching the film too much. It's almost like watching, before we had DVR and stuff like that, watching a movie on like TBS or something and getting a commercial break every once in a while, but it's not nearly as bad.
So that's our shameless plug for Tubi. Possible sponsorship. So yeah, that was The Orphanage, 2007. Correct? 2007. Awesome.
And I remember actually watching that basically when it came out. I think when I started working at Movie Gallery, probably about 2008. So I remember watching it around that time period. I need to rewatch it.
The 2010s, man, they had a lot of haunt movies.
Mm-hmm.
They were pumping them out, and then like it went. I don't even know if it went dormant, like because there were so many that came out 2010s, and then even now, like people love eat that shit up. Paranormal Activity came out, that was a huge deal, and then we got the Conjuring block, and all those movies like Annabelle,
Poltergeist remake,
yeah,
all that.
So that's awesome. Honorable mentions. Corey, you said you had a few you watched. Now, I know we don't have to go too deep into these. These are just like extras we watched, kind of keeping with the theme of the month. Because I was I'm not gonna lie, I got a little squirrel brained because I would watch like a haunt movie and then I'd want to like run off and watch something else. You know what I mean? But I did take time to actually find a couple that I really liked. Or that I thought I would like anyway. And so yeah, what you got? You got any honorable mentions? Anything else you watched? Or
well, I mean, we watched that one in the beginning of the month together. Oh gosh, Stir of Echoes. We watched that one.
Stir of Echoes, yes.
We watched that together. That was a fun one.
Yeah, 1999. I know there's probably a lot of younger listeners too listening right now. Check that movie out. It is aged very well. Very good movie. Kevin Bacon's in it. I know Hell, a lot of people might not even remember Kevin Bacon. he's been MIA for a while, but he's been doing stuff.
I just
But
recently saw him on a commercial.
yeah.
He looks really old.
Of course.
But it was like a Tremors commercial, so it was awesome.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, Stir of Echoes is a great movie. I mean, it's if you want like the ultimate recipe, like the formula for a good haunt movie, Stir of Echoes is it. It's got the the paranormal, the jump scares. It's got the dream states. It's got the story. It has the build up of like what happened, who died, how they die. I got to figure this out. Just like the Changeling, that's why I say like Changeling did such a good job of that.
I was gonna say, got to mention this movie. No, like real jump scares. All earned. All of them were earned, and it was amazing. So glad that I watched the movie like that. That it was not throwing a cat out of a cabinet at the at the actress or something like that. Something cheap.
Yeah.
The tension was built up, and it was released, and it was fucking awesome. So I highly recommend it for that alone. Like no jump scares, really earned scares. That was fucking awesome.
What about like non-jump scares? I think those irritate me worse, where it's like a build up. They got the violin going, and there's this build up, and then they cut scene, and they go to the next scene, and you're just like, what?
None of that in this one. So
okay,
none of that in this one. They
were heck
yeah.
So,
creepy kids too, and masks too. Fucking awesome too. I didn't mention that.
Nice. Yeah. I think it scares me more when because like jump scares, I'm with you. Jump scares can be aggravating and a bit like overdone.
It's definitely.
It's like, oh, it's a horror movie, which means you're scared, which means it's like, no, jackass, you fucking scared the shit out of me using a mirror.
Yeah. Subtle scares and tension buildup and stuff like that is so much more effective.
Right. Like chase scenes,
Yeah.
like somebody running for their life and like a small corridor or something like that's more effective, I think. But yeah, you said Stir of Echoes. Anything else, Chad?
I wanted to watch a movie that I've never seen before that I recently picked up, or that I got actually in Horror Pack. But it was a Dead Room. I wanted to watch that. I haven't watched it yet. I think I might do a small review on it after I check it out.
Okay.
But I think I watched. I popped in The Innkeepers as well.
Oh, dude, I was gonna pick that for the episode. I was gonna pick it. That was.
Yeah, it was late one night, and I decided I wanted to watch it.
Perfect time.
Yeah, you got to watch that one late at night in a dark room. It really captivates you because essentially it prays. It's almost like it's very cliche, but turns out they're like mimicking what could occur in a hotel, and then it actually starts happening, and then shit hits the fan. It's a really fun, wild ride of a film. I highly recommend it to anyone that loves a good haunt film. That's it.
I've had my eye on that movie for a while, actually. I think I almost picked up a copy at Scratch and Spin, and then I saw it on Tubi, if I'm not mistaken.
So, dude, yeah,
let's check it out.
I recommend if you watch that one, you watch his other film, House of the Devil. That's a great film too.
Yeah, fucking
both
awesome.
of those are phenomenal films.
Ty West is the man.
He is.
Ty West. That's the dude in Your Next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. He's the one that shows films underground.
Shows films underground. Yep.
He did the Sacrament too, which is another great cult. It was really
fucking good. Cool. All right. I guess keeping in order here, I'll go next. So I watched two films. One was called Ghost Team. I was in the mood for a comedy horror. Uh, I was like, I gotta see it. It's got Justin Long. It's got John Heater. Not a big John Heater fan, gotta be honest. Like, he wasn't good in the new Tremors. I've never been a Napoleon Dynamite fan. Everything I've seen this man in, I have not liked. Like, he just can't. He's not good in any movies. I know probably got a lot of people screaming at their phone right now, but like, I'm just being honest. Like, so I really had high hopes for this movie, but it's basically just a group of like ruckus mischiefs who all work these and live these mundane lives. Like John Heater's character owns a copy and print store. Does the same thing every day. And he goes to work, does his thing, gets off, goes home, and he reads blogs about paranormal activity and stuff. And he's like, he wants to be a paranormal investigator, and he's trying to get a guest spot on this show called Ghost Getters. Is what the show's called. So it's kind of like a play on Ghost Adventures. And he assembles this like terrible team. Like, he even gets a TV psychic to be their their medium, and it had potential to be so funny, and so it was not like the jokes just weren't funny. They really failed on a lot of on every front. But I will say that some of the cast were okay. Like, they had David Krumholtz in the movie, which I haven't seen him since fucking Addams Family 2.
Wow.
But he apparently has played in a lot of stuff, including that movie, The End, about the apocalypse or whatever. So, but Justin Long was in it, just part of the movie. And he played like this cop that, he's a security guard at a mall. He tried to be a cop, but he wasn't tough enough because apparently he was going through like the scenario where you have to like, it's like a mock scenario where you have to arrest somebody or something. He like broke down and started crying. so everyone in the academy made fun of him, said he wasn't tough enough. So he just became a security guard at the mall. But he's got like the haircut and on, and he's very like straight faced, like what was that? Like, you know how Justin Long is, but like John Heater's introducing the one of the members of the team. It's the girl that works in the building next to him, and he's like got a kind of crush on. He's like, this is our new member of the team. She's like an essential puzzle, or she's one of the missing puzzles. He's like, Justin Long, just like straight face, was like, how's she miss a puzzle? Like, what'd she do? Like, but yeah, his character was fun. Like, if there's one reason to watch the movie, I would say Justin Long was a trip in this movie, and like all his lines, I was just laughing my head off. Like, and then there's another dude in the group that works in the mall with him that's always hazing them. And there's a scene where they're in the van and they're looking at all their equipment in their duffel bag, and he's like, pulls out these paintball guns. He's like, what do you got paintball guns in your bag for? He's like, I play on the weekends. So it's totally worth it to watch for Justin Long, because he's a trip in everything he does. But like the jokes in the movie were kind of like no one else really delivered. And they go to this house where they've been tipped off as being haunted, and they're really excited, and they get there and they start experiencing all these crazy things, But like the movie takes a twist at the end where it's no longer paranormal. It's like, and just quick, if you don't want the movie spoiled, just skip ahead 5-10 minutes. But basically, the house isn't haunted. It's actually like this meth lab. So like there's these guys in a basement making meth, and so they go in this place thinking they're the only ones in there, and there's this meth lab down there, and then like it becomes just really awkward, and it's like, man, I don't know. I wanted it to be funny, but it just wasn't. It didn't deliver. So
like you said, it sounded like it had promise in the world with those setups and stuff, but if the jokes and stuff wasn't there, then it's like, unfortunately.
I mean, his friend Stan was played by David Krumholtz was funny too because he was like just this like really depressed dude who he just got a relationship with his girl. Well, she broke up with him. She disappeared, so he has it in his mind that she's been abducted by aliens, which is why he can't get in touch with her. So he's like convinced that she got abducted by aliens, and, you know. And John Heater's character is like, "Will you stop it with the aliens already?" He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, ghosts are real, but aliens aren't," you know. And, there's a scene where he's laying on the couch and he's just like this gelatinous blob lying on this couch, and he's like watching TV and he's like, "Get up, man, we got work to do, you know, we're going on a ghost hunt." And he's like, "I don't know, man, I kind of had plans." He's like, "What do you mean you had plans?" He's like, "There's this new pizza joint open. I was really psyched about trying their pizza." So there's like little lines like that that are, you know, that are worth it. But other than that, you know, it was kind of like, it fell flat. But I think I gave it 2 stars on Letterboxd. But you know, I mean, you could probably find it on Hulu. Well, actually, it is. Yeah, it's on Hulu right now. So, I mean,
Wow.
I would say watch this movie for Justin Long. And that's it. But and then the other movie I watched was actually a British horror called Ghost Stories. Um, I believe it is on Hulu as well. It's got Andy Nyman. Is that how you say it? It's also got Martin Freeman, the great Martin Freeman. Of course, played in The Office and played in The Hobbit. But great actor. Love Martin Freeman. But so Andy Nyman's character plays this professor who is he's basically out to debunk paranormal stuff. He's not a believer in ghosts and all, and he's not a believer in psychics and anything paranormal. He actually goes out of his way to try to debunk this stuff, and then he ends up getting in touch with this old paranormal debunker that he used to watch when he was younger, who was like, "Hey, you know, I used to be just like you, but I got these 3 cases that you have to go investigate, and it'll change your mind like it changed mine." And so he goes out and he meets these 3 people, and they all have their ghost stories. And it's just it's kind of like a anthology, like a ghost story anthology, but it really ties in together and centers around our main protagonist more so than you might think, you know, because like for a while it seems like he's just kind of there, you know, just kind of the one doing the interviews and stuff. But then it really like takes a turn and it's like, you know, hey, this is about you, you know, and it talks up a little bit about his past stuff he dealt with and all, and then the movie really has a twist at the end, and I cannot spoil it. Like it really has a cool twist. Like you know, you talk about payoff in movies. I feel like the payoff of this movie was awesome because you know, it's just very well shot. Like cinematography wise, it is just amazing. And it feels like just a really cool anthology, you know, because it goes through each case file, you know, as like kind of like an act. You know what I mean? Like you have your intro, your prologue, and then when you go into your first case study, it has like their name, and then it's cool. Him interviewing them. Yeah, it's really cool. Like it's very, very interesting, very well shot, and you know, it's I don't want to call it a slow burn because it did have some, you know, it did have a couple of I don't know, it did have a jump scare per se, but it wasn't like a cheap jump scare. Like it was well deserved. It was very in your face. Yeah, it was very in your face. I'm like, whoa, like it really, oh man, like just thinking about it makes my hair stand up, you know. So, but it was cool. It was a cool movie, and Martin Freeman's character was very interesting too. And if you ever get a chance to watch the movie, I'd like to discuss it, and we can kind of you know, because it kind of reminds me of something we talked about in 1408 with Samuel Jackson's character. So, and that's all I can really say. I might have said too much, but yeah, cool movie. It's a really cool movie. Like it was kind of a blind watch. It was like also on Hulu. Looking through the horror section, and the cover really grabbed me because I was like, "That's a cool fucking color or cover." And yeah, I took the time to watch it, and I did not regret it. It was good. So I gave it like 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. Or did I give it 4? Can't remember at the moment. Well, let me see. Tony, if you want to go ahead, I'll look for my review. But that was me.
I was going to say, unfortunately for me, The Orphanage was the only paranormal film that I watched because I thought we were bringing one to the table. So I didn't think the structure was set up for us to do more. So I'll be ready for that next time.
I'm forgetting one. I'm totally forgetting one, man. I watched We Are Still Here.
Oh yeah,
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, great.
Such a good movie.
So 2015, Barbara Crampton. I actually gave this movie a 4-star. Fantastic movie.
It is.
I believe it takes place in the 70s. You know, it's got that very antiquated setting. You know, cord phones, old timey like boxed vehicles. The way they dressed was very 70s. But they move into this house, kind of in the country, to get away from, you know, to kind of get their mind off things because their son just died, and they move into this house that's like been cursed by the town because of these previous owners that had lived there. And they supposedly had gotten driven out. Come to find out they were still in the house. Like their spirits were still there haunting the place. So but yeah, it's actually got some good gore in it. Like you don't see.
Holy shit!
Yeah. I don't want to step out and say you don't see gore often in haunt movies because you definitely do, but this movie like was very in your face and physical. Like it wasn't just jump scares. It was like the ghost can get their hands on you, you know, and burn you and all kind of stuff. It was really cool.
I love the setting too. It's set like I think it's in New York with the snow. It feels cool. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's a great film, man. Absolutely fantastic. I watched that not too long ago, so you know, I think within the month. But I mean, I've seen it before. It's just I always gravitate to that film and go back to it because you can tell it's a guy that directed that absolutely loves horror, and you can see the homages in there. That there's so many, especially to Italian horror, more specifically Fulci. A lot of that. There's a lot of that going on. I love the look of the ghosts. I think they look cool because it's not typical. They're like charred and burned, so they have like ashes and like smog and stuff around. It's really really unsettling, and I think it's really effective too, especially given the setting of being so cold outside and so frigid. Just it works, man. And they're like completely white eyes and stuff like that. Really, really dope, man. Fucking
Yeah.
I dig the fuck out. I love that movie so much, man. I gave it a 5. I mean, I don't do that often, but for me, I thought it was brilliant. I loved it. Just tell, I mean, just from a guy that loves the genre, you can just tell he threw everything in the kitchen sink at it, and it worked. So.
Right. Yeah. I think I gave it a 4 just because like I wish there would have been a little bit more as far as like explaining what exactly had happened with the family, which I know they did, but you know, they usually have like the flashback scene where they really go in depth and show you. I don't think they did that. I don't recall them doing that in the movie. I know they kind of did in the credits.
Yeah, it was more good dialogue and exposition. Yeah.
Right.
But like I said, yeah, I mean, it's just I'm a little bit biased. Sometimes I'm biased with my letterbox reviews. Like I'll throw 5 stars at something, and probably realistically should be a 4 or something like that. But
same here.
Sometimes you do that. I'm fully guilty of that. I will admit it. I do know a lot, but sometimes it's just like if I'm feeling a movie, if I'm enjoying it, if I love it, if I'm just in the moment, stuff like that. As soon as it's done, I'll put boom, 5 stars or 4.5 or something really, really high. But that one just worked. It worked for me. I could see the criticisms that some people have with it and some issues that are going on, but to me, all that was, probably going to be explained off especially when you watch it multiple times. There's a lot of stuff you pick out on or pick up on. So, but yeah, my rating's realistically too high, but it probably does. It probably should be a 4.5 or a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, and looking back, I actually gave Ghost Stories a 4-star. So I thought I gave it 3.5. I definitely gave it a 4. I did really enjoy that movie though, so I do recommend it. But I'm with you there on like the letterbox reviews. Like I'm getting better at gauging, like because reviews are hard. Like
they are. So subjective.
It's very subjective, and it kind of reminds me. You want to go in if it's a movie you haven't seen, you want to go into it with an objective view. You come out with a subjective view, and you have to kind of balance it.
And that's that's what's hard when it's movies that you've watched so many times. It's like you're biased almost. You don't want to see it. Like you don't want to pick anything apart. Especially if it's a movie that you just love. Like you just don't want to pick anything apart. But it can go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I was looking through my reviews just now, and I think I gave Sleepaway Camp 1 a 4.5, and Intruder a 4-star. No, I gave it a 5-star. Excuse me. Okay, well, never mind. I thought I gave it a 4-star. But there was some other reviews I was looking at where it was like that. It was like I gave one 4.5, one a 4 or something. And I was just kind of like, why did I do that? But like it's my thing is, people look at reviews a lot of times and they might see a review or two that's shitting all over the movie and they don't want to like give it a chance. And I tell people this all the time. Like my buddy at work was looking at reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, and I was like, you cannot base your judgment on those. Like IMDb is probably the worst because you could look up fucking like Shawshank Redemption and it'll be a 7.5 on IMDb, and like that's hailed as like one of the greatest movies of all time, So
that's why I feel like the longest time I was kind of standoffish as far as rating. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just an opinion.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, I used to look on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. I'm looking more on letterbox reviews now lately. Like I've noticed I kind of sway into checking out letterbox reviews and seeing what people that they're not necessarily critics, but they review these films on they look at it in a different light. Like they're not getting paid to do this stuff. They're just doing it out of leisure. It's fun. So to me, it comes off a little bit more genuine. Because some critics seem to kind of not be as genuine. They're not as genuine. Let's be honest. There's some, depending on the situation, they're probably not honest with their reviews. But more people for leisure and stuff like that, especially when they're fans and stuff like that, they kind of connect. They can kind of talk to you in a way that you understand, like coming from a fan's perspective almost. So I find myself looking more on letterbox reviews now than anything.
Yeah, definitely.
I go to IMDb occasionally, but I never really did Rotten Tomatoes though, because they do. I mean, it just seems like they don't. I don't know. I never really did Rotten Tomatoes, but the one time I do is like if I'm in Walmart or something and I'm looking at the DVD section or whatever, and I see like a horror film that's like certified fresh Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, oh. But other than that, I don't like seek it out and look it up or anything.
Yeah. Like Letterboxd has been my jam lately. So I mean, I feel like they have pretty good reviews and they're funny too. Like there's a lot of funny Letterboxd reviews.
And that's what I'm trying to say too. Is like more people that are fans and stuff like that. Stuff like stuff you'll get, like references you'll get. It's like, oh, that is funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and here's a good example. The new Mortal Kombat movie came out. I watched it, reviewed it. I gave it a 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was good. I feel like as far as like pacing, I feel like the original movie was better. Because I mean, let's face it, for a 1995 video game to film adaptation, the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie holds up really well. I don't care what anybody says; like it's still good. This one here was a little rushed. They paid a lot of homage to the game. There was a lot of gore. you know, they had, they kind of shoehorned in a obligatory protagonist. You know, it has nothing to do with the Mortal Kombat lore, but they shoehorned him in. You know, it's a fun movie though, but you know, there's a lot of people shitting on it for multiple reasons. One of them being the story, but I think my favorite review, you know, and that's the funny thing about reviews is a lot of people will read reviews and they'll just get angry. I like to read reviews and just laugh, you know, like this person put 2.5 stars. I like watching people fight to the death. But my favorite review is I can't even find it right now, but it says 2 stars, finish me. Like only Mortal Kombat fans would understand.
Exactly.
But it's so yeah. But yeah, all that being said, that is our roulette episode. Like we are coming to a close, but we want to thank each and every one of you listeners out there for taking your time to watch this video, listen to the audio podcast. Just a reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, leave a comment because apparently that's the thing to do. If you know, that would help us out and help push the podcast out there. Go check out our review of Wrong Turn because apparently it has like over 500 views now.
Over 600 now.
Over 600 now? Okay.
Yeah, I think
that's awesome.
I think I checked it this morning. It was like close to 650.
So yeah, that's awesome. And that's just an audio. Like we could have been doing this the whole time. But so yeah, we appreciate y'all listening and watching. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, leave us a review. That would be awesome. We'd appreciate that. A reminder, you can follow us on Facebook. We have a closed group, the Midnight Monster Corner Podcast. Ask Nicely, we'll let you in. Twitter at Monster_Corner. I always fuck that up. And then TikTok at Midnight Monster 20, which we haven't done anything there in a while, I don't think, but
I'm about to start posting more stuff in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I think that's about it. Anything else to add, gentlemen?
Well, thank you for the continued listening. We appreciate it, and let us know what your guys' thoughts are as far as these videos. Do you want them to continue? Definitely leave a comment, especially in the Facebook group or whatever. And maybe even going live might be something that we might look into as well. That'd be interesting.
If you're not,
we can make that happen.
Highly recommend you join the Facebook group. Get in on the discussions, man. We love having film discussions and stuff like that. Talk to us about the 3 movies if you've seen any of them. If you have an opinion on them, let us know. We'd love to hear everybody's opinions and what they thought. Makes for good discussions, man. So it's just a fun time. You know, we have a great time in the group, man. Great group's fun. We got a good, solid group, man. Good people. You know, so come join the family.
Most definitely. So, with that being said, we are out of here. We'll see you guys next week.
Later, guys.
Later.
Peace.